This is Groove Talk with FrogE Style.
Welcome to another episode of Groove Talk, everybody. On this episode, I am joined by Abbie and Darty, and they are part of the band Gone Cosmic.
What's up?
Heyo.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for coming. So I guess just to start, let's what is Gone Cosmic?
Oh.
Dun dun dun. Well, it's a band that was started by Marcello Castronova and Brett Whittingham and myself probably about 18 months ago, just with our love of kind of hard rock, psychedelic rock, progressive rock. And then we went searching for a vocalist for quite a long time. Probably over a year trying out people and getting to know different people in the Calgary music scene. And then we found Abbie through a really kind of random way. And she actually turned us down at first, so that was awesome.
Okay, all right. I didn't know you guys.
So then I had to beg her to come for at least to meet us. And then, once we met each other, we all kind of clicked. And she's part of the family. And so we're just kind of a pretty new band out of Calgary that's having a lot of fun writing some complex, fun tunes.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a project that has 4 individuals that kind of bring so many different qualities to the project. So, I mean, you're looking at like 4 super wicked friends. That's so cliche and gross. But like, I consider these guys my brothers already. And then when it comes to the writing side of the project, everything is kind of just coming very naturally to the 4 of us. And it's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. Cool story.
So did you guys know each other before the band then?
No. I think like you looked familiar. Like first when I saw you, I was like, I've probably bumped into each other at shows over the years because Abbie played in the Torchettes and Brett and myself still playing Cron Goblin as well, and Marcello plays in Funkenscheist and a couple other projects. So we've all been going to shows forever. So weren't like friends, but definitely had seen each other.
Yeah,
around.
like we kind of weren't really in the same scene. Like Calgary has so many different kind of stems and veins of music. Probably seen each other in passing. It was really random. I was actually at work, and there was a band that was playing, and my boss was like, "Oh, you should get Abbie to sing. Abbie's a singer. Get her to sing." And I was like, "Okay, here's your beer." And this lady, Claire, came up to me. I never met her before, and she's like, "Hey, like, so you got some rasp? Like, what do you got?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I guess so." She's like, "Well, I work with a guy. He's looking for a vocalist." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, like, here's my email address."
It's pretty random. It's one of those referrals
so
where you're like,
random.
That's not going to work out, but we're willing to try anything at that point.
And
so
then, like,
reached
2
out.
weeks later, got an email, and it was Darty.
Yeah, and then she said no, and I was like, "Come on."
Okay, I didn't say no for okay. I like the kick up the ass he gave me though. He's like, "Come on!" And I was like, "Okay."
Just needed a little bit more excitement. That's
Exactly.
Gotta make him work for it. Okay.
And that we have been doing.
So what's it been like working together then?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. This band is, like, Gone Cosmic is unlike any other project I've been in when it comes to every aspect of the project. Like, the songs we write, the work ethic that we have. I mean, being in the studio, a couple months ago we were at OCL, and there was a grant that was due. And at the end of a quite long day in the studio, it can be very tiresome and exciting by all means, but at the end of that day, we sat around with, like, bread and a beer, and everyone had their laptops open, and we were crushing the work that needed to be done. So it's not just like, it's an incredible artistic outlet, but it's also, I consider, a very important small business as well. So these are not only my brothers, but they're business partners as well. And it's incredible to have a project that all 4 partners are very invested in all aspects of it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I mean, everyone's so passionate about both like the work ethic and the playing. Like everyone wants to just be a good player at their own instrument, and so having that kind of internal drive has been just really, I don't know, a lot of fun to write songs, because they've been coming pretty quickly, and they're pretty weird and out there and progressive. But I mean, that's what's neat about like working with 4 people that have such different influences. Like the spectrum of music that we listen to is all over the shed. So what comes out is a bit of everything as well. So it's been cool. It's been fun to work on music that's not just clumped into one genre. Like we were just talking on the way over here. Like it'd be cool to play like everything from like folk fest to like a heavy metal fest to like whatever, and kind of be able to move around on the spectrum as opposed to just be like pigeonholed in one type of scene.
Yeah. I oh, what was I gonna say? I had a thought.
Have another drink.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. The unique thing about being in this project as well is that it's definitely pushed me as an artist. I think that we push each other equally to, like Darty was saying, to be better. And I've never I've listened to a lot of different styles, and I really enjoy a lot of different genres of music, but I've never written to like a heavier psychedelic sound. So for me as a singer-songwriter to come into this project and kind of push myself in that way, it's fucking awesome.
So it was hilarious. Like we gave Abbie like 3 weeks from when she joined to our first show, which we went under a different name, and then probably less than 8 months from that, we're in the studio recording our full length. So it was just like, okay, if you're in, let's do it.
You've also got 3 weeks to write these songs. But
it was awesome, and we've been just pedaled to the metal ever since. And I mean, we don't even have our new album out yet, but we're already working on new songs for a follow-up prior to that one even being out. We want to just kind of get a good head start and hopefully release a couple good albums within a short period of time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So would you say that like coming from other bands like has given you advantage in this band then in regards to your work ethic and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just over the years, everyone's, learned and made mistakes, and also tried things that worked, and made various contacts, and just have learned how to do things both the easy and the hard way. So we're trying to not do things the hard way this time.
Learn from those mistakes and make them again.
It's definitely been like a benefit, and it's cool playing with people that they all come from these different projects that they've been a part of, but this is kind of new and unique to everyone, so it's definitely like a sense of some energy that is just new and fun.
Yeah. It's a refreshment. Fresh air.
I think it's like something that a lot of people, when they're starting bands, like maybe their first bands, that they don't realize that it is kind of like a business, Like, yes, it's creative and fun and all that, but if you do want it to go somewhere, you have to kind of treat it like a business. You have to be professional about it in some ways, and that's the same with any creative thing, really. So
absolutely.
We were talking about this as well. It's hard to find, well, in my experience, anyways, just members that are willing to not only put in the work but also have the drive behind it to make things happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we should do this, and like Darty and Brett, it's like, it's already in the works. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
For sure.
Yeah, it is a small business.
I think, too, the other thing I've learned from running other things in a small business aspect is you also have to make sure you're having fun.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun with everything, then what's the point? Yeah. So it is definitely like we have our work ethic, and we have our nights where it's like, okay, we're all going to bring laptops and nerd out and get stuff done, but we want to make sure that we're having fun both in the jam room and just maybe going out with the night on the town and have some drinks and have some fun, and just make sure that you're doing both those things, because I think if you go too far on either side of focusing on work and not necessarily having fun, or vice versa, it can be disastrous.
Yeah. We're baking each other birthday cakes.
Penis-shaped ones.
With penis candles and sprinkles.
Nice.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
As all bands do, right? Have you found it, since you all do come from slightly different backgrounds and stuff, have you found it challenging at all to work together?
No.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
No, the thing that I love about this project is like any decision that is made, all 4 votes are in all the time, every time. And it's like I have such a high regard, level of respect for this project and the people involved in it. Yeah.
And like the rhythm section, who's not here today, so Brett's playing bass and Marcello's on drums. So Brett also plays drums. He plays drums in Cron Goblin. So when they nerd out on the rhythm stuff, like Abbie and I just tune out because it gets crazy.
It's going
but
again.
as a result, like they come up with some weird time signature stuff that we don't even know what's going on. We just kind of nod our head and jump in at the right spot. But like, yeah, we're blessed. I don't like that word, but we're really privileged to have guys in the band that are so tight and just that rhythm section is so important in any band, and to have both of them with a ton of percussion experience is just, it's awesome.
Yeah, and to be open to the critique as well. You know, like, say we're going one direction, and all you have to do is say, oh, what if we were to do this? And everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's try it. You know, it's such an open forum, free forum, and just accepting of the ideas that you have and, the things you want to do. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess how do songs kind of come together?
Yeah, well, the first, like, set of songs were basically kind of written, and then Abbie joined, so those ones are a result of quite a few bottles of wine and late night jams for the most part. That's half true. But Brett and I will usually meet together and work on some kind of like string parts and try and get all tech and complicated. And then we'll meet up with drums and kind of massage those in. But now since Abbie's full on in the band, it's basically all 4 of us in a room. Yeah. We'll pull up an idea and kind of massage it out and just kind of, you know, play off each other until we find like something that we like.
Yeah. Darty usually is like, oh, I got an idea, but it's like a plethora of riffs.
Here's the 11th riff later.
Oh, and also it's awesome. Yeah. It's all four input.
Awesome. Is that different from other bands that you guys have been in, or?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, most of my, so I did a lot of solo stuff, and for the big majority of my career as a musician, and then joined my previous project, the Torchettes. The difference with that band, though, is it was a lot of session players. So it was Daisha, Carter, and myself that fronted, and Daisha did a lot of writing for the project, and then we'd have a few collab sessions, but it's definitely had that session player vibe around it. Okay. So yeah, no, it's a world of difference to be in a room with our band and writing as a band. Yeah. Because I've done a lot of co-writing sessions and stuff in various places, and that singer-songwriter experience, which was awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I've never felt as comfortable as I do in this project, which is gross. But
I always find it interesting how different bands, how the writing process works for them, just because it's always so different. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, yeah, I guess. But so I guess what was the recording experience like in this band, and maybe how did that differ from other bands that you guys have been in?
Well, the sweetest thing was we recorded at OCL Studios, and there's actually a living accommodation there, and it's out of the city. So we all made the decision to just move out there and stay out there the whole time.
Locked in.
So that's quite a different experience to just, you're out there, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. So you're having every meal together, and then at night partying a lot together, and there was a pool. And we thought that, maybe people don't bring friends out, and then every night we brought more friends out, and then every night was a bigger party than the night before. I mean, it's a facade because we all go back to our regular jobs when it's all over, and reality slaps you in the face, and you realize what's up. But for that 8 days, you can pretend to be a rock star, which is a lot of fun. But in all seriousness, it was really fun because you're out there, you're living it, you're experiencing it, and we're working with Josh Gwillem, who's a phenomenal engineer and producer who had a ton of great ideas, and he put in long hours as well, even stayed a couple nights with us. So we were able to really put a lot of those extras on the album that maybe you run out of time to do. And, you know, hats off to Josh for really like sticking it out and coming up with creative ideas and doing those long hours with us. Because, yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome album. Like, it's our debut album, and it should be out in early spring. And yeah, we're super stoked to get some music out there. Because it's been kind of funny. We've played, I don't know, maybe 10 gigs now, and played some cool festivals with some good bands, and we don't really have anything to showcase, so it's all booking off like word of mouth, which is
we don't have anything
interesting.
online
I mean, for all of us, it was kind of like starting from scratch again. You're like, okay, just book us. Well, you have any demo? No, but we're good. We promise.
Cool. Don't worry about it.
You gotta like beg to get your foot in the door, but it's been working. And yeah, once we have this album out, it'll be even a better tool to hopefully do some shows in Europe and, you know, get some shows across Canada and probably the States, although the P2 work visa's fucked, so we'll see.
Yeah, good point.
Cool. Do you have like a favorite standout moment from the whole process, or?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a funny process. So in this one, the bass and drums get done usually first, and then so Abbie and myself are kind of stuck to the very end while those guys are off in the pool in party land.
Yeah.
So
we
we're in limbo land. We're like, I want to party too, but I got work to do. I'm just teasing. Those guys were a huge help even when they were done tracking their parts. I can't even remember what the question was anymore.
I think my favorite part was like. We had friends, we had like our families come out and just listen to like the raw tracks, and just the response we got from our closest people.
Yeah, actually that just reminded me. I think my favorite spot was I was tracking some guitar parts, and in the room was like 15 close friends and family, all just like watching me. Yeah. Which some people would hate, but like they were stoked. I was vibing off it.
Hot
like
legs,
the drinks were flowing, and like, but it was working well. Like I wouldn't say it always works well in that situation, but that particular night I was on, it was working well.
Yeah, we made a drinking game. Every time you fucked up, everyone had to drink.
Yeah. And they didn't even have to drink that much. So.
Oh, says Darty.
Yeah, maybe they had to drink. I can't remember.
No, it was good. Yeah, no, that was a really good moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that honestly, that all sounds awesome.
Yeah, if you get a chance to check out OCL Studios, anyone that's listening as well, it's a beautiful place.
It's quite
they give free tours, so if nothing else, go check it out.
Yeah.
Cool. So how did you decide what songs made it onto this first album then?
It was the only ones we had. I think it's kind of something special about a band's first album, because the songs are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
You haven't necessarily found your sound yet, per se.
Right.
So, I don't know, I was kind of under the mentality, like, record them all.
Yeah.
Like, maybe in 5 years, they'll think some of them are wacky and what were we doing? But it definitely is a snapshot of this period of time for us.
Yeah, and with these songs, too, like, there's no set formula to how these songs are written. I mean, you've got songs that are 4 minutes and songs that are 8 minutes. And all in between, like, it's...
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm biased.
It probably sucks.
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
So do you pay, like, how much attention do you pay to, like, the order of the songs on the album, I guess?
Yeah, we had to like have that conversation and pick kind of the best flow, and especially when you're thinking about vinyl as well. So you got a max of around 42 minutes, so you have to think about that in your length per side, so 20 minutes per side, and then we wanted to make sure our side B had a real wicked kind of track to keep the listeners engaged. But yeah, we think the flow of it turned out pretty well. Just kind of flip-flopping on how we wanted to lay them out, but we think the result's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Vinyl's an interesting thing as well, because like we were just a little bit over the time max, so you'll get vinyl and you'll get a CD. The CD will actually have an extra track on it.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't want to get rid of it entirely, so it's only on the digital and the streaming version.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. So big winter classic.
Whoop whoop.
Big.
So you guys are playing big winter classic 2019.
Hell yeah.
So I guess what does that mean to you guys?
Oh, it's gonna be rad. I mean, Calgary music scene is so awesome for
It's
so
always
many
a party.
reasons, and this is just one more example of the community coming together, multi-venue kind of festival, multi-genre festival. I mean, all the promoters have been doing an awesome job putting it together, and yeah, we're stoked. We did the big kind of launch party at Wild Rose, where it was just a couple bands, and that was awesome too. I mean, we're so new; we'll kind of take any gig because no one really has heard us yet. And we could use the money. But yeah, it's gonna be sweet. We're stoked, and I don't know where or when or who with we're playing, but I'm sure however that turns out, it's gonna be a party.
Yeah, big is always awesome, and it's a great time of year to throw a festival in the mix. January, it's kind of the time where it's like cold, everyone's on leave, but then you're like, oh, all right, it's big time. Okay, baby.
Yeah, it should be sweet. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
So it's obviously the first time that this band has played the festival. Is it the first time that you guys have played the festival in general, or?
No, I played a couple years ago with a previous project.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty
First
fun.
time for me, so I'm stoked. But I went and I watched it last year. I'm a big fan of Red Fang, and that show was wicked. And yeah, every year it's been pretty sweet. I'm stoked to be a part of it this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any favorite memories from Big?
It's a pretty windy tree when I was watching Red Fang.
So that was
I will respectfully decline that question.
Oh my god.
Abbie probably has a better answer than that.
Oh man. Oh man, the whole thing is awesome. I'm trying to think of like a real good specific.
The launch party was cool because they had that band Little Destroyer from Vancouver.
Oh, they slayed.
And I'd never heard of them, and like, what a show! I mean, even if you didn't necessarily like their type of music, you could not look away.
No, it was
like,
just
it was this
unreal.
Performance, a spectacle, and that was cool to play in like an airplane hangar and
Yeah.
then bust everyone there. The best way to get a lot of people to the show for the openers, bring them all in one bus because then
they
no one
can't leave.
can be late or leave. So promoters out there, that's a good
they
tool.
killed it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That was a cool idea.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it seems like Big does a lot of cool stuff like that. A lot of like they're incorporating like it's not just music anymore, there's the big studio and stuff like that.
Totally.
They're like bringing the art side into it, and
Yeah, they had that competition too for their collab beer can as well, which is
yeah,
pretty sweet.
yeah, and they've also been doing like a photo competition, and
Yeah.
I heard about something. I think it was, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, but they did the whole golden ticket thing where if you got a golden ticket, they bust you. They took you on a bus, and Otter was playing on the bus.
Oh,
with
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. I like things that are creative and innovative.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, it should be. It's cool that it's like so community based, and it's just focused around building the community as a whole, not just the music community, but like the creative community as a whole. So,
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, we're super grateful to be a part of it, and kudos to everyone involved putting it on. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun.
I just noticed you have a Pink Floyd tattoo in your arm. That is sick.
Yes.
Sorry to digress.
That's cool. That's my first tattoo, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. So I guess what can audiences maybe expect from Gone Cosmic at Big Winter Classic?
Well, it's going to be a party.
lot of energy.
High energy,
A
some
lot of energy.
some weird, complicated riffs and licks and beats and rhythms, and Abbie's going to be howling. It's going to be sweet.
Yeah, I'd say like join us for a very interesting, pleasant, and emotional roller coaster, because these songs have their ups and downs, and kind of we're gonna wisp you away.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not... Oh, actually, never mind. It's going to be fun. It's going to be sweet. Take it back.
Fair enough.
Awesome. So it sounds like you guys have been in the music scene for a while. I guess what's your take on Calgary's music scene?
Ooh.
I think it's awesome. I mean, I think we're super lucky. We have venues that put a lot of time and effort and resources into bringing bands, even tons of one-off shows from the States or from Europe.
Yeah.
And the community itself has so many different genres of music and little scenes within it, and you can go to a different show every night and not even run into the same people sometimes, and it's just bizarre. Like I went to Dry Heave last night, and I didn't even recognize a single person in the room, and I was like, this is sick, and the music blew me away. So it's just an example. Like there's so many bands that have such a variety of styles and influences in the city that it's great.
Yeah.
And a lot of active promoters and just a lot of support for the community.
I think everyone's just owning it. Like they're owning exactly who they are, what they do, and they just, they don't give a fuck. Like I love it. I love it, and everyone's super supportive. Like we're really lucky to be in a community that is, bands go to other bands' shows and support and represent. And I'll talk about, Misha and the Spags. I'll talk just all these incredible, like All Hands on Jane. I love those ladies.
Yeah, they support every band in town. They're the best.
They are incredible, and not only on stage for performance, and they just released their amazing album, but as humans. There's a lot of really good humans in this town. Yeah. And a lot of new projects are popping up. In Calgary, like the scene is just growing. It hasn't stopped growing. It's just going to continue flourishing and building that support system and that acceptance as well. Like, I'm weird, but I feel accepted, and that's the way everyone should feel, is good about what they're doing in their art. Yeah. And especially, Calgary now has a bigger name in Canada's spectrum because of the National Music Centre. Yeah. You're getting a lot more things, a lot more attention to Calgary, which is fantastic. There's so much talent here that deserves to be acknowledged. Yeah.
And you have radio stations like CJSW, which is like one of the best stations in Canada. Yeah. Pretty much any band that's local that releases an album, if they want, can go play live on the station. Oh yeah. There's a show that represents pretty much every style of music. Yeah. Like, what a great radio station to have in Calgary.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all of those statements.
And you know what else is awesome about Calgary is Calgary likes to party. Yeah. I recently went to Rockin' for Dollars for the first time, which is embarrassing to even say that. I couldn't believe Wednesday night it's jam.
Oh, it's a party, man.
People are just having a blast. I was like, this is sick. I don't know how I've been missing that for so long. And so it's cool because it doesn't have to be Friday and Saturday night. Like, people will go out every night.
Rockin' for Dollars, man. BJ Killer. I love it because one of the, I think it was like first or second times that I went to Rockin' for Dollars, we spun the wheel and we won. You get to spit beer in BJ's face. So I'm like, all right, it's up here. You want it. It's going to happen. Oh, yeah. So I did in turn spit beer all over BJ's face. But I said to him, next time I'm here, whether I'm playing or not, if you get this spun, I'm going to stand with you. And I did. I stood up there with him and we got fucking drenched of beer.
Well, and the fact that the band plays and then everyone has to stand in line and then you give them all a high five, that just, it's cool. It's cool to see a promoter and a venue in town that's doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. And bringing out, what I was stoked on is it looked like the average age there was 18, 19, 20, and I was like, this is sick to see a lot of people of this age range out here to live music. Yeah. It's just something that is inspiring, and I'm sure it's just going to produce a whole another generation of awesome bands. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's important. I think we need the younger generation to get into music because they're the ones who are going to eventually carry it forward, right?
Sure.
So, it's actually funny. I also had to spit beer in somebody's face at one time. Yes! And I felt so bad about it, doing it, and I was just like, really? I have to spit beer in your face? Maybe
I'm just a savage. No. Oh, no.
But yeah, Rocking for Dollars is, it's definitely a gem of the city, I think.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that it brings so many different facets of the music scene together. Like you can go and you can see like a hip hop act
Yeah.
play alongside a punk act, play alongside whatever, you know.
Totally.
And it's giving a lot of bands like their their first
I was just
gigs
gonna say,
basically.
yeah, it's like
Sure.
their first time on stage as a band, or
Yeah.
you know, it's a great spot to test out any songs you'd written that day. Like,
Yeah.
Rockford Brothers fosters a really great community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess so. When did you guys, like, at what age maybe did you guys start getting into the music scene then?
Me, and I'm an old salty dog, so I'm 32, but when I was 14, I was always going to community hall shows, and then when I moved here to Calgary, like bands like Knucklehead were killing it, and they were the Multicultural Center and Carpenter's Hall were these all-ages halls that you could go to, and it was definitely very interrelated to the skateboarding kind of culture as well, so punk rock skateboarding has always kind of went hand in hand. So that's how I got the hook. And then I started listening to Black Sabbath, and it completely ruined my life. That's all I'll ever want to do now is just play Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So, yeah, quite young age for me.
Yeah, ditto. I was 14 as well. Yeah, 14 as well, and I was just I recorded my album down in the southern states, and I wasn't playing guitar at that point, and I came back and I was like, oh, I like this. All right, this is sweet. So I picked up my guitar and just started writing, and tried to get into every single bar I could that had like an open mic stage. And if I got on stage, nobody kicked me out because my voice sounded a lot older than what I looked. But if I didn't get on stage, I'm like, get the out of here. Like, what are you doing? I always remember I was at a bar, I won't name it, and no, and AGLC walked in, and I was just off to the side of the stage, and I saw AGLC, and I was like, oh fuck, like there's no exit door where I am. I was like, buddy, you gotta put me on stage right the fuck now. And he did. He like threw me on stage. I started singing, and I sang until they left, and they didn't come up. Yeah. Oh, I was the closest call. Awesome. Oh my god. That was good.
That's awesome. Do you maybe have like an album or a song or something that kind of like kicked off your guys' musical journey when you were young? Or
Black Sabbath, Master Reality. I didn't really know what it was, but I'd go to skate parks, and then I'd see people, like the older kind of tattooed, like Hesher dudes, who I thought was the coolest thing in the world, all singing every word to songs like Sweet Leaf or War Pigs, which isn't from that album, but and I was like, what the hell is this? And how does everyone know all the lyrics to all of this stuff? And then I went to like a used CD store when those, you guys remember Tramps? Whatever, doesn't matter. Old CD store in Calgary, and then just listen to that, and it's like wormhole, like just everything was about music. Nothing else mattered at that point in time.
Yeah.
Play guitar, learn riff after riff after riff, and just become obsessed and addicted. And here we are many years later, and I still can't get out of it.
This is going to show kind of like the completely different backgrounds that we have in this band. When I first kind of like growing up, my dad would listen to a lot of like 80s, and like my mom was top 40. So like that was my life growing up. And then I heard Katie Tunstall play, and I got really inspired by like the acoustic driven riffs and just like that power that she had. And then I went down this like country road, and I was like, whoa, Dolly Parton, all right. You know, and it's like completely different backgrounds, but I would just sink my teeth into anything that I could get my hands on, and I just went and spiraled from there. And then even joining like on Cosmic and just seeing like the influences these guys have, now it's like, all right, Mazzy Star, fucking yes, you know. And like now I'd say like my really like ladies of power, like you've got Patti Smith and Janis Joplin, and just like, oh man, there's so much. Yeah.
Awesome.
A sponge.
Is there maybe a local band that kind of did the same thing for you?
Well, I mean, Knucklehead when I was quite young was like one of the first local bands that I saw. I was like, oh my god, these guys are killing it.
Yeah.
But the first time, I guess they're not really local. They're from Edmonton. So the first time I saw Black Mastiff, I was like, holy shit, who are these guys? They're so good, and still just blew my mind. And like over the years, we probably played together 20 times, then a couple tours with FrogE album. But just to first really like their music, then get to know them, then get to be friends with them, then get to be like peers with them was a really fun kind of progression.
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys are sweet. If you never heard them, check them out. They got 3 albums out that kick ass. And
Yeah. I think, like, I'm going to sound like total fangirl here, but All Hands on Jane for me. Yeah, I think they slay, they always have, and just to see how much that they've grown. And I think it was, like, 10 years they've been together or something like that. They've been together a while. To now, like, they're killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were actually one of the first bands who were guests on this show. I think they were on like episode 10 or something like that.
Bring
nice.
alcohol too.
Yeah.
Asking for
Nice.
friends. I remember the first time we played with them with a different project, this was probably 6 years ago. I was like, who is this girl that just keeps shooting tequila on stage but
my God.
isn't screwing up? Like she probably did, like Terry, she probably did like 8 shots of tequila while playing, and I was like, this is crazy. This girl is crazy.
I don't know a band, because, like, All Hands on Jane, they work so hard. They work so hard, but they also party just as hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you do it?
Oh, yeah. On the party spectrum, they might have other
They've
band
got
in town
everyone beat.
Yeah, I like, just for the record, I really like it when bands bring alcohol. It's
I just assumed it would be the right thing to do.
yeah, it makes it more relaxed and fun and chill and
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah. So I guess we kind of like we're moving towards more of a like single culture. Like, you know, singles are really big because of the internet and streaming and stuff like that. So I guess, how do you get people to pay attention to an album in today's vinyl?
Oh,
Vinyl. Sorry to cut you off.
That's the
It's
question,
vinyl.
isn't it?
I think it's vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl. And I think part of the reason that people gravitate towards EPs and singles is probably just like resources. It's hard to make a lot of money playing music, and to record a full-length album is obviously expensive. And so it's easier to just put out kind of little snippets because that's one of, I'm sure, lots of factors. But I know for us, for this one, we're like, you know, fuck it, we don't want to do an EP. Let's just go and write a sick album and let's just record it.
Yeah.
Like, Abbie wasn't even in the band for a year, and we're like, let's book full studio time, let's just do it. And
Well, yeah, like I joined the band on Friday officially, and then we went to OCL on Saturday.
Yeah,
for
the
tour.
next day. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I
But-
think. Oh,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one to kind of stand out. I think with this style of an album, I feel like people will kind of want to listen the whole way through, and it's not going to be just kind of picking at a single. Like when we were mixing it, the engineer basically, like, this could be an album people want to listen to loud. Like, it's not going to be like a kind of background in the car, not really paying attention to kind of album. Like, we feel like people that will like this album, well, chances are they'll be like music fanatics that are just are really into music. It's a pretty intense, kind of aggressive, all over the place album. I just have a hard time seeing people like, oh, I'm casually listening to this while I'm like knitting or something like that.
I can't see that happening. I feel like you're going to put it on
Yeah.
when there's a party going on. And
People are going to be shotgunning beers and having a good time.
Yeah.
I have no idea if
I
that
think,
answered
like,
your question.
It's definitely. Classic.
That's
It's
usually how
definitely-
podcasts go, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time that we're in. I mean, like, singles are what's selling. I mean, you've got, if you bring it to, like, I'm gonna say top 40 artists. You get a lot of top 40 that releases a ton of singles, then they'll release an album that's like 8 singles have already been released and 2 of them are new songs.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the way they're doing it. That's what's selling. I don't know, but I think the way to get people to buy like a full album, the best way, like I was saying, is like vinyl. Like, once they see your show, like that impact of it, and hearing the music live, and then
Well, and the music live, like getting out there, like
oh yeah,
gigging, man. That's how you get people to like your whole album. You know,
Yeah.
just get out of just your hometown and play as many shows as you can,
Yeah.
and just be grateful and be appreciative of like the opportunities and the other bands you get to play with,
Yeah.
and have fun along that journey. And I think you'll organically start to get that like dedicated following. I
Absolutely.
think like there's no money that will just buy your likes and buy your instant kind of
Yeah.
followers and whatnot. Like you gotta grind it for a bit.
I think-
you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta put in the work and
Yeah.
get people to like your stuff organically and
I
not
think-
just
Um,
fabricated or bought.
yeah. If you want to be heard, play
Yeah.
to as many people as you can.
Yeah.
And that's what's been really fun about having a new project for all of us is like we'll take any gig. You want us to play
Nobody
your bar
knows us.
mitzvah? You got it. Like we will play whatever right now because we're still new, and I mean it's really cool to just play to a variety of people that have never seen us and playing really random mixed bills, which is really
Yeah.
fun, and yeah, it's been sweet. We've been doing a lot of opening gigs, which is fun because you can set your stuff up when you get there, and you get to party like immediately after. Whereas if you're like you're headlining like 4 bands, you're like kind of nervous.
You
all
gotta
night,
wait it out
and
all
then
night.
You
Yeah.
finish, it's like 2:30 or whatever, and like all right, let's
You're
party, and all your
you're kicked
friends
out.
are like long since blacked out. So I'll just party by myself.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few bands. It's like you really want to be like second or third or something, you know, like.
I mean, it depends. If you've earned that following and you're a headliner and people are there to see you and they're sticking around, like that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And I hope that we get to that stage with this band. But it certainly is fun to kind of be like the new guys on the block. again, too.
Totally.
Do you guys have maybe like a standout show that you've played so far with this band?
Oh, for sure. So we did 2 gigs with Brant Bjork, and the second gig
Yes.
was not just Brant Bjork, it was with Earthless too.
Oh, it's unreal.
And it was in Edmonton at the Starlight Room, which is like the nicest
Unreal.
venue there. And yeah, it was sick, and like we played really well, and we hit it off with all the other bands, and yeah, I mean, I think that was like our 5th show. Like we were super lucky, and we're still
Yeah.
really grateful to even have
Totally.
that opportunity. So yeah, I think that's it.
I agree on that. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Beautiful.
But like I said, we haven't even played 10 shows yet, so we're still so new.
Yeah.
2019 should be fun. Like we got lots of stuff kind of in the works and getting this new album out, and just hope to hit the road and start getting out there.
Yep.
Cool. So I guess how do you guys like when you do go on tour or whatever, how do you guys go about planning a tour like that?
With Canada, we can pretty much do it ourselves just through like contacts and networks from past projects and,
Yeah.
and other booking agents we've worked with in the past. For Europe, well, we hope to get there sooner than later, but it'll be new to us, so we'll just be working with a new kind of booking agent over there. So yeah, it's a bit of like doing it yourself and then having some help from kind of professionals as well. But Canada's awesome because every kind of city has something that is similar to Calgary in terms of key promoters and key like grassroots bands and contacts that'll help set up stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like even
Just
there's
reach out.
Yeah, just reach out to other bands. Sometimes is the best way to do it. And I'm just thinking Regina, for example, they'll have you out. You'll play an afternoon show in like a house. They'll walk around with like a container to collect some money for you, and then you go play your bar show at night. Like just things like that. They're just really cool, and just having those contacts across Canada.
Yeah.
And then helping those bands out when they're coming to town as well. It's just that that community and that network of helping each other out.
Yeah. Again, it seems like really like the more and more bands that I talk to, it seems that the biggest way that you can get ahead or like get your is just don't be a dick to people and
Don't
help
be a
people.
dick.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true,
for
man.
real.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible sometimes how that's just like not there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick. Yeah.
Calgary is a big small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Canada is just a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And go
But
burning bridges and just be grateful and have fun.
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it all wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you doing it if it's not fun?
For sure.
So, but yeah, I've said it so many times on the show. I think just don't be a dick. So
That's great words to live by for all
For
aspects
everything,
of your life.
yeah. So I guess, how have you seen like technologies change within the music industry, and how have like you used those technologies maybe to your advantage to like promote yourself or stuff like that?
Yeah, that's quite the dilemma nowadays, isn't it? I mean, a perfect example is I find it interesting. All the bands are sharing their Spotify stuff, their stats right now. Like, oh, it's been a great year. Thank you for X amount of followers and listeners. And the whole time when I was looking at that, I was like, the irony here is all of these bands are making less than they've ever made with the streaming services.
Yeah.
Yet we're also being like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some irony there. That being said, do I use the streaming services? Absolutely. They're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this weird, like, catch-22 that where does the money come from these days? Just enough to barely, like, keep doing it, not to, like, pay your bills, is from selling t-shirts and selling vinyls at those shows.
You want to support your band, your
Yeah.
local bands, buy their merch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Buy
And
their
if you
merch.
want to really support them from their music aspect and you're going to buy digitally, like buy their Bandcamp.
Yeah,
Like
get
if
it
you
directly.
Yeah, exactly. Get it directly from the band. And what's cool about the Bandcamp too is whatever album you purchase, that band sees that and they see your email. So when people buy like other products of our stuff, we would just always be like, thanks for buying our album, I really appreciate it. And I know when I've bought music from bands and I get a message from the members saying thanks, like that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So I think it's a catch-22. I mean, it's awesome because you can get out there and you can reach like global markets that you never have before, and you can use that social network to get there. But I feel like your social network things can be sketchy too. Like, I don't know if you heard of that Threaten band fiasco that happened like a month ago.
No.
So basically a dude bought all of his social media followers and likes, booked this tour in the UK, and like paid crazy amounts of money, and like the whole thing was a flop because it was all a facade. Like no one knew who he was because it was all phony baloney. And so I feel like the social media thing can be misleading too.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, they have a crazy amount of followers, they must be a huge band. Like that's not always the case. But on the flip side, there could be a band with barely any and they're killing it and doing a great job. I don't know. It's interesting times these days.
Yeah.
I think it's also, I mean, it's really amped up to be super accessible for independent artists as well, right? Like, I mean, you used to rely on labels for everything.
Yeah.
Whereas now you've got so many independent artists that are breaking out and, you know, trending and whatever else. So, I mean, there is a positive in that, but I do agree with you, Darty. Like, yeah, sometimes it's not exactly as it seems. It's pretty...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's shifted everything. It's confused everything. Like labels
For
are like,
sure.
where did all our money go? And we're like, I don't know.
I mean, like bigger bands that you look up to and you kind of find out their situation, like everyone's got a side hustle to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And when they're touring like 10, 11 months a year, they're not making a ton of money like just to kind of survive. So you're in this weird position where it's like, okay, I need a job to pay the bills, but I need time to do the band. Like I need to write songs and take time off to gig and tour and all that. And it's this weird like balancing act that I find. And even bigger bands you look up to, they're spending all of their vacation from work, not necessarily with their families, but to do tours to kind of keep at it. It's weird times. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next 10 to 20 years with music and the industry.
Yeah, I agree. Like I remember one band specifically that I saw play at festivals, like big international festivals, and I listened to, they were a guest on a podcast, and I was surprised to find out that they still had kitchen jobs, you know?
For sure.
I've seen them at like big, huge festivals and stuff like that, and it's like, shit, like if you need to, like, then like what is it like for just, you know, your average local band or whatever.
Totally.
So
Totally.
it's like, it's a double-edged sword. Like music has never been more accessible, but that also means that we're almost, like, you have to go through a lot of music to find those gems now as well, like, because anybody can make music.
Absolutely.
Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, because everybody should make music, but
For
also
sure.
it makes it hard to find music.
And how do you cut through that clutter without coming across as like tacky and cheesy?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the social media thing, you got to do it, but you don't want to just like depend on it. And it's this weird, like, how much do you really want to get wrapped up in that world? Like, you got to do some, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting times these days.
Yeah, it
We
is.
got to do some, but we're also in a band to like play music, you
Yeah,
know, like
exactly.
play and create and yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a fine balance for sure, and you kind of have to find that line and walk it.
Totally.
Yeah. Again, another band or a band that does that pretty well is All Hands on Jane, I think, with their Instagram posts and
Oh, they're hilarious.
it's like almost, it's like the right amount.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting times for sure. I guess, is there any ways that you guys take advantage of the social media to promote your band, or?
I mean, being so new right now,
Yeah.
I mean, it's our only presence online. We don't have any music listed
Please
online
follow
just
us. We
yet.
don't have many
Follow
followers.
us. Shameless
Shameless
plug. So, I mean, being so new, like, we're posting shows and we're posting, like, you know,
Shenanigans.
total shenanigans. Oh my god. But I mean, it'd be interesting once we have like a really present like space online when our music is up.
Yeah, I wouldn't
See
say
where we
we've
go.
really utilized it to the max right now. We've been just focusing on getting like this debut album kind of recorded and out there, and just doing all the behind the scenes stuff that most people probably don't see, of just getting it out there and trying to do things the right way and be strategic. And I think it'll get there. Like, we'll definitely build up some cool shit on there, but we're not totally there yet.
Some funny things.
Well, that's the thing too, is social media and stuff, like even like this, it kind of like demystifies a band a little bit. It lets like fans know that they are just regular humans, that they aren't these like deities that need to be worshipped because they play in a band, you know.
Totally.
Have you ever had any experiences like that with fans, or?
Well, not really with this project, but more on like the other side, where I've met people that I was like looked up to, and then was like so disappointed that they were kind of like shitty human beings. It made me realize like, we all are. We're all the
just
same,
human.
man. We're all the same.
Yeah.
And like, and that goes back to just being grateful. And anytime that you do have a fan or you've made an impact on someone, like, be appreciative of that, and just, don't be a dick.
Theme.
Yeah, bringing it back. Yeah, it's one of the things, like, with this podcast is, when I first started it, bands would come over, and I would be so nervous. So nervous for them to get here, because, I'm like, they're obviously way cooler than me. They play in this cool band, and I'm just like this guy, And then they get here, and you start talking to them, and you're like, oh, you're a person.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's Calgary, so you probably all know like 10 of the same people.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of bands that like, oh, you talk to this person, we're real tight or whatever. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and then now like I'll go to shows or whatever, and you're just in the crowd, and like 10 different people come up to you, and they're like, oh, hey man, how's it going?
We
like,
actually meant to bring you some merch, and we're idiots and forgot it.
Oh yeah, damn it.
That's cool, don't worry. So what's it been like seeing your fan base grow for this project then?
I think it's been sweet. I mean,
It's cool.
because we're so new still. Like, we'll play a gig, and then all of a sudden, like the next day, like all these like pictures of your shows, and like more people are
Stories and-
following you, stories and all that kind of stuff.
I think
So it's been sweet.
what's pretty cool about this is like it pulls a wide range demographic. Like, we get so many people, not so many people, no, just like,
You get a modest amount of people.
just a modest amount of people, but just ranging,
Yeah.
like, like 18 to, it's crazy. People that maybe wouldn't usually listen to a heavier sound are like, oh, that's pretty, all right. Yeah,
Well, it's funny, depending on the build, people will be like, oh, you guys are the heavy metal band, and then you play with like heavy metal bands, like, oh, you guys are like the light rock band. And you're like, yeah, we will be whatever you want us to be for this gig.
Yeah.
But it's been neat. There's been a lot of people that have come out because they know a member from one of our projects that we've been a part of in the past or present, and they're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, I didn't know you were doing this, and like, this is different. And yeah, so it's been cool to kind of try something pretty new and still have a lot of those friends and family kind of come out and check it out and just see us trying something new and something different.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's been cool to like start over again in a way that like we'll play any show, and like almost every show we play, most of the people have never seen us before, so it's kind of cool where you can actually make that impact, where it's like, if you've been in a project for a long time, like, I'll catch your next show because I've already seen you 15 times. You know what I mean? It's like, we're still new. We have like, oh, come check us out. You haven't seen us.
Yeah. Do you guys ever find it hard balancing, personal life with band life and band's life, I guess? But
Oh yeah, I mean, like, when you join a band, you kind of join into like a relationship with these people.
Oh, for sure.
Like, really, like, it's intense, you know, like, you're kind of being super vulnerable and, like, giving all you got to a project, like, yeah, you enter into a full force relationship. I mean, but with personal, I see, like, this band is like, I don't want to say it's like a second job by any means, but I hold it to the standard that it is a priority to me. Like, I will put as many hours as I can to it. But we all are super respectful, and like we've all got partners and jobs and full-time jobs and stuff. But I mean, with the understanding that this is like it's priority.
And everyone's like such a dedicated like musician in their own like craft that it's never even a question of like someone pulling their weight, because everyone's just so driven on their own, and then to have that come together as a collective is just awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's unfortunate that the rhythm section isn't here today, but like those guys, all they do is go on Reverb and look at drums and basses every day. Like, they are obsessed.
And
so are we.
Marcello.
So it's sweet. Like, everyone is just obsessed with like being a musician and getting better at it.
Yeah.
And now having a project where we're all kind of like working together in that same vision it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to let your fellow bandmate down by writing a part that's not like your best work. And so if everyone has that attitude, you're like, damn, these songs they're coming together.
Yeah, I feel like I'm held accountable in this band.
Yeah.
Like, it would really upset me to let anyone down. And it would upset my, like, so
and
much.
you'd be kicked the frick
Yeah, I'd be kicked out. Okay. But, like, so much so that, like, we're at the studio, and, I mean, how many months between joining and hitting the studio? Like
February to September.
Yeah. And we wrote the lyrics and melodies, and the songs are written, and like the day we were recording one of the tracks, I decided to change the title and change all the lyrics. Like, I'm in the kitchen rewriting it because I'm like, this is shit.
Last minute scramble.
I'm very happy with it now. But like, I was obsessing over it. I was like, this isn't right. This is not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think we all have that obsession. Like, it's like a healthy obsession.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Other times it's like your fingers are bleeding. But
oh, yeah. Or you're just like sitting at your regular job and all you want to be doing is working on band stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like most bands that you have coming into this show feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, we would love to be doing this full time, but it's not a reality. Like, there's nothing more of a harsh slap of reality as you come home from a tour and your first day back at your day job and you're just like, oh my god, this sucks.
What is this?
But, you know, at the same time, it makes you extra grateful from when you're out doing what you love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you got to learn to appreciate both worlds, and each world makes you appreciate the other one more.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, shout out to all our partners for putting up with all the work we do.
Yes. Late night jams. Thanks, Lisa.
Do you guys ever find it difficult, like, letting songs go and being like, this is done?
I find it's difficult sometimes where you just have to not think selfishly and think of what's best for the song. Okay. So you're like, I got this sick part I want to show you, and like Brett, he's my filter. If I show it to him and he's not vibed on it, I'm just like, I guess it doesn't cut it. But it's good though, because it means like what does make it is like your best work. But sometimes you just gotta, put your ego aside and be like, yeah, this isn't about me. This is about the collective project we're working on. Sure. But we don't even have enough songs to really like have to worry about like, oh, we're not gonna play this one anymore or anything because we only have 8.
Yeah. But we've started writing like our second album
without the first one even kind of being out there, because we really want to just get ahead and get a couple solid albums out in a short period of time.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So since you guys have a little bit more experience than some in the music department, what advice would you maybe give to somebody who is just starting out playing in a band and wants to take that somewhere?
I would just say be grateful, be humble, take pretty much every opportunity that you can get. Like if you're brand new, go to shows, support your other local scene and support other bands, and just get yourself out there. And I mean, it all comes back to don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And practice your instrument or whatever that is as well. Like own your craft and just put the dedication and the effort into it that you want to.
Yeah, I think I agree wholeheartedly with all of that as well. And I think bringing it back to like kind of the start of the conversation, it is an art form. It is like, it's everything you want it to be. But to take it seriously as well, it is a business. Be strategic, have a business mind on, and also respect and understand the relationships that you're forming with your bandmates and people you work with and people you support. It's a network. It's a network. So as long as you are going to shows and playing shows and just being a good human, it really just comes down to being a good, driven, passionate human.
Awesome. So I guess kind of besides the obvious, like Big Winter Classic and the album, what does 2019 hold for Gone Cosmic?
Yeah, I mean, get this album out. Like, I would like to hope end of March, early April would be ideal. Yeah. Like, we're currently chatting right now with a couple label opportunities that we might pursue, we might not. So figure out how that kind of lands, and then definitely do some Canadian touring for sure. It would be sweet to get over to Europe, but being that we're so new, that might be a ambitious goal at this point in time, just to even get booked. I mean, promoters over there are no different than here. They need to make a buck, and if no one's heard of you, no one's gonna come to shows and yada yada. But yeah, I think just lots of shows, working on another album, and definitely get a bust our ass for Western Canada, maybe some Eastern Canada. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I could see us having like either having or being very close to having a second album completed and ready to hit the studio. Yeah, it'd be awesome to hit the studio before the end of 2019 again. Yeah.
Awesome.
Keep her moving.
Keep it going.
So are there just any kind of final things you guys want to say before we end this?
I'd say thanks to yourself for having us. Thanks to Big for this sweet festival coming up. If you like our songs, but you haven't heard them, but if you found this comical and entertaining, give us a like on the old interwebs, and stay up to date with our shenanigans on there, and just keep music alive and keep doing it for the right reasons and have fun.
Cool.
Womp womp.
I think you wrapped it up. I think you wrapped it with a little bow there. You got it. I think you got it all, Darty.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, I'll have all the links for your social media stuff in the episode notes of the podcast, so people can find you easily. And thank you very much for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
No, this was fun. If you liked this episode of the podcast, why not leave a review? You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. For up-to-date information on the podcast, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at FrogE Style Productions. That's Frog, the letter E, Style Productions. For more ways to support the show, visit fsproductions.ca.